Riders, welcome back to Sam's Bikes, where you know we only talk e-bikes, and today it's the second episode of Lab Rats. Lab Rats is 4 Australian riders testing products, and 3 of them are independent. I know I am sponsored by SCHWALBE, but trust me, riders, we go deep onto the good and the bad and not the perfect parts about the SCHWALBE tyres. We test Magic Marys, Big Bettys and Eddy Currents, which ones are best for which style of rider. And we're giving away 1 set of SCHWALBEs worldwide. So watch onto the video to see how you enter this competition. And now let me introduce the Lab Rats. Dominic had to make the cut because it was pretty much his idea. And the guy can ride a bike. Dominic is ex-BMX. He started racing BMX at around 14. And I call Dom the natural because he's a little bit reserved on the bike, but he has so much talent and it's so great to see him riding again. Julian, AKA the Hucker. I'm not sure Julian ever got that memo that he's 41 and is a father of 2, because Julian is a searcher. He is searching for the biggest, nastiest gaps and jumps, and man, he can ride a bike. Brett, AKA Adventures with Warby. Brett's pretty new to riding. He's been riding for about 3 or 4 years, but Brett can ride a bike, and this year he actually won a few of the series on the e-bike enduro series in Adelaide. Brett's the young gun from the Rats. He's 32 years old and also a bit of a big Aussie. He's pushing 100 kilos. So if stuff is gonna break, there's a good chance Brett will break it. And me, the last rat. I started racing BMX at the age of 3. I raced until 18 when I suffered a massive break in my wrist. Then when I moved to Spain and met my wife Bea, I started racing BMX again, which led on to cross country because I broke my foot riding BMX, then went to enduro, and then went to downhill, and now onto electric bikes. I live and breathe bikes. It's definitely my passion, or some would say my addiction. And now riders, grab a water, grab a wine, get comfy and listen to this podcast on the SCHWALBE tyres. And at the end, we actually do a bit of show and tell, and we talk about things we're loving and hating that we bought over the last 6 months. It is a little bit of Geek of the Week. It's quite a long podcast, but if you do enjoy this type of stuff of real world riders testing real world products and giving their thoughts on it, I think you're gonna love it. So let's go. Lab Rats, welcome back to Sam's Bikes, where you know we only talk e-bikes, and thanks so much for your time. Not wearing the t-shirt today, but I've got it here. I wanted to show the back of it because we are selling these t-shirts for 17 bucks. Support the Lab Rats, be a Lab Rat, buy a t-shirt. Link in the show notes. Now, I want to say, you know, SCHWALBE are a major sponsor of the channel, but you guys are allowed to say exactly what you want to say. You know, this is truthful Lab Rats. SCHWALBE were nice enough to send us the tyres, but, you know, what made me think of it is that, you know, like, we are creatures of habit, and, you know, I know Julian, I know you've all been riding Maxxis, and I just thought it'd be an interesting to test to see what you thought. So we've all been testing for the last like 4 months, Magic Mary Big Betty and Eddy Currents. So starting off with you, Julian, what did you think of the Magic Mary Big Betty combo?
Yeah, probably different opinion on each tyre. Magic Mary I found to be a lot better than the first time I tried it, and I think the first time I tried it, I probably wasn't getting the pressures right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this time I sort of took your advice and dropped the pressures a bit in all the tyres, and didn't run crush core. And look, I think that was probably a benefit. You know, the casing is heavier, but I didn't have any issues with you know, touching the rim on those casings, which was a plus, I think. You know, and then if you're going to try and put your push core in there, get a friend over to help you, because I tried, and you need like four arms to hold just to hold the casing down while you try and get that casing in.
Yeah, definitely. It's a 2-man job.
Yeah. So That was interesting to try, and I gave up. The Magic Mary I found to have really good grip, and I guess one thing that I look for and what I found with the Magic Mary the first time I tried it was that the grip dropped off really quickly as the tire wore down.
Yep.
I didn't find that as much of a problem this time, even with the super soft compound. It maintained its grip as it started to wear down. You start to knock those edges off the outer blocks. Conversely, on the Big Betty, I found that really started to let go as soon as the edges started to get worn off. It was very fluid. Got very, very sort of expressive in the back end pretty quickly. But a brand new, as a brand new, oh man, I got so sideways in that thing.
Yeah, it is.
And
it's
the
a
heaps
different
of tread
tire.
there, the heaps of tread. But I think the way the blocks are sort of orientated, once they lose that sort of sideways traction, it's like it's on rails. Was what I found anyway. So I found the Big Betty was great as a brand new tire, but as soon as it started to wear, it started to really break traction. Particularly when you're sort of dropping it into hard corners on different types of terrain, like sort of if it's a bit grassy or a bit sort of dust on crust kind of stuff.
Yep. And I just want to mention, so everyone was riding ultra soft Magic Mary on the front and soft Big Betty on the back. And now onto you, Brett. What did you think?
Honestly, I'm comparing it to Assegai and DHR. That's basically what I run normally. Magic Mary on the front, brilliant. Can't really fault it. I would rate it just as good as an Assegai, probably a little bit better in the wet, but the Assegai just tips it in the dry conditions. Big Betty on the back. I started in the Mount Gambier round, which is loam, which we don't usually ride too much in Adelaide or Australia.
Yep.
And it was brilliant. But once again, exactly the same as Julian. Brilliant at the start, but same as any rear. As soon as you knock the side knobs off or it gets a bit of wear, especially on the sharp edges, just starts to fall away in the grip.
Yep.
That's what I found.
Nice.
But one good thing I will say, just with them, I really enjoy the bead they have on them. It's a tighter bead to Maxxis. So if you have any dents in any rims or aluminiums or anything else, they bead a lot better than other tires.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Nice. And what about you, Dom? How'd you get on?
So performance wise, I think I wouldn't notice a difference between those tires and a Maxxis tire. So again, I'm a Maxxis from Maxxis background, as most people are, and DHR, DHF. But in turn, so fitment, they are difficult to get on your wheel. I use these spring clamps. You can't get someone to help you. Like ones you use for woodwork, just to hold the tire so it doesn't just keep rolling down. So that helps me get them on. But yes, they're difficult to get on, but I really like that because once they're on, they seal really well around the bead and they lock into place. So a bit more effort to get them on, but better sealing around the edges, and that's with all the SCHWALBE tires that I've tested. So the other one would be that combination for me is probably the best in terms of the durability. I have not had any punctures with that combination of tire. The Big Betty at the back. What's the casing, Sam, that they use?
So the casing's a little bit confusing. So SCHWALBE they've got Super Trail, which is trail casing, which I would recommend for the front. Then we've got a gravity casing, which you would think is their biggest casing, but it's not. And then you go downhill casing. So the gravity casing is kind of enduro casing, and downhill casing, super DH is obviously downhill casing. So you would have had on the back, I think you had super gravity, so the enduro casing. Yeah.
Yes, and I would put that up as good as a DH Maxxis casing.
Yeah.
Tyre. So I've worked it hard in terms of sharp rocks and things like that, and that's no question. For me, I believe that they're just as strong, and they get you home at the end of the day on a long ride. So love that. And the other one would be the pressures. Again, goes with all the SCHWALBE tires that I tested. The pressures you need, if you're from Maxxis, you do need to adapt your pressures. You don't, yeah. So I'm running a lot less pressure in my tires as low as I could possibly go.
Yep.
On those tires, because I found that they did. If you match the same pressures as with Maxxis, they do bounce around a lot more, and
you get loads more feedback from the trail. Let's just do a quick round robin. I'm like 82 kilos on a good day, and I'm running 22 on the front, around 26 on the back. How about you, Julian?
Probably I'm about 86, 87, running about 24 to 28.
Yep. Sounds
24
right.
on the front, 28 on the back.
Yep. You, Brett?
97 kilos, 22, 28.
22, 28. Good. And what about you, Dom?
So I'm about 72 or something, around 70-ish. And I ended up almost matching the pressures on front and rear to around 19.
Okay, good.
20, so, but a little bit more on the back, 21 to be safe on the rear, and around 18, 19 on the front.
It's pretty funny because when I was telling you guys, and you were just like, all just going, fuck, no, I'm not running. I might say take that out. It's pretty funny when I was talking to you guys about the tire pressures. You were like, no way, I'm going to run that low. But SCHWALBE is a different beast. They are. I just reckon when you go up to, like, I remember on my Maxxis, I was like 25, 32, something like that, front and back.
Yeah.
And if I started with SCHWALBEs on that, and I was just getting so much feedback from the trail and just getting bounced around. So, all right, just before we go on to the Eddy Currents, I better give my sponsored point of view. Probably doesn't mean a lot. Before SCHWALBEs, I was riding DHF on the front, 2.5, and DHR 2.4 on the back. My favorite combo, love that tire. I actually bought a bike about 2 or 3 years ago, and I changed the brand new SCHWALBE tires to Maxxis because I didn't really know anything about SCHWALBEs. Anyway, then I tested the Eddy Currents, and then I went to the Magic Mary Big Betty, and now I've actually gone to Magic Mary front and back on both bikes. After watching all the EWS riders, everyone was riding ultra soft 2.4 front and a soft 2.4 Magic Mary on the back, and all the pros said pretty much what you and what Brett and Julian said, that the tire just wears out too fast, and not wears out too fast, just loses its grip on the edges too fast. And a lot of them are training on a hands damp, whatever it's called, a hands, and they're racing on a Magic Mary. So I'm riding Magic Mary front and back, but the ultra soft Magic Mary, in my opinion, is as good, if not better, than a DHR. I never ran an Assegai. I heard that's a very good tire. And the Big Betty, for me, I really enjoyed that tire. But now going to the Magic Mary, I definitely think the Magic Mary's a benefit on the back. And as far as, I've found them, I reckon they last longer than a Maxxis as durability goes. I reckon like you are getting probably like, I don't know, like 30, 40, 50% longer wear out of a Schwalbe tyre than a Maxxis, I think. And, you know, when we talk about these tyres, they're costing like $100 a go or 50, 60 euros a tyre. That's an important.
That's only because anything with Maxxis in the higher range, like you want to get a downhill casing or a double down, the only thing you can get is max grip.
Yeah.
In Australia, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Soft compound. So yeah, you pay maximum and they don't last long.
Yeah. Okay, riders, now for the competition. How do you win a pair of Schwalbe tyres worldwide? It's super easy. All you need to do is go over to Sam's Bike Instagram, follow my page if you're not already, look for the thumbnail or for the picture you see now on the screen, win Schwalbe tyres, and put a comment on there, which is your favorite Schwalbe tyre, and tag 2 mates that desperately need new tyres, and that's it. You're entered to win the tyres, and in 1 month, I will release the winners on my YouTube channel. So riders, good luck. Now, on to the Eddy Currents, starting off with Karina. Hello, Karina.
Yeah, it's my wife's name. I don't know why it's coming up. But anyway, it's Eddy Currents. Okay, so the front Eddy Current. Yeah, look, it offers a lot of grip if you're not pushing the bike. It's heavy and it rolls really slow. Both those Eddy Currents, front and rear, are really heavy tyres. I actually really like the rear, but the front I found, particularly on like really fast sweeping corners where it's a bit pebbly, it just, it made your butthole just go whoop whoop.
Can you explain that? Can you translate that analogy for everyone out there?
It was some scary shit,
Yeah.
Yeah. It basically, the front wheel would just start to drift and it wouldn't grab. And when you look at the tyre, there's a big gap between the middle lugs and the outside lugs. And when you're on that sort of soft lean, man, there's just nothing there for the tyre to grab onto.
But also you're comparing it to the Ultra Soft, so it's got the compound different as well.
Yeah, and just comparing it to, probably, the other tyre that I've run, which is a Assegai on the front.
Which is an Ultra Soft as well.
Yeah, and even DHF, DHF has got that little vague spot, but not as big, It'll sort of wash out a little bit. The other, I'd probably compare it similar to like a Maxxis High Roller, which had that really sort of like oh shit moment sometimes. But yeah, these tyres, I think if you're not really pushing it really hard on the front tyre, it's going to give riders a lot of confidence. But man, like, not keen. I've actually chucked it onto my hardtail bike, and it's fine. It's fine on the hardtail because
e-bike tyre.
Yeah,
e-bike tyre. Yeah.
Yeah. Mix it up. But on a hardtail, it's great.
Nice one. What about you, Brett?
Oh wait, the rear. I reckon the rear.
Hang on, you've had your go, man. Come on.
The rear is better.
Okay, tell me about the rear. Come on.
Nah, the rear was probably one of my favorite tyres.
Wow.
I reckon I reckon that was better than the Big Betty.
Yep. Good call.
It hasn't. Sorry.
Good call. Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't been breaking grip. It's heavy casing, appropriate for the rear.
Interesting.
Big solid tyre. I'm a fan.
Good.
As a rear tyre.
What about you, Brett?
I'm out.
You're done. Sorry, mate.
Firstly, Eddy Currents are done in 2.6. Personally, I'm a fan of Assegai and a maximum of 2.5, which is basically a 2.4 front and rear I prefer. Front, it's just a big balloon. You try and push it and it just gives way. I lasted about 5 rides on it. So I didn't enjoy the Eddy Current front. Eddy Current rear, basically it's a moto tread pattern. It's actually longevity. It lasts forever. I would love to see that tyre on a 2.4.
Good call. Definitely. And what about you, Brett? What about you, Dom?
Honestly, okay.
Hang on. Full disclaimer here.
Yeah.
Dominic bought an Eddy Current off Brett, I think, or something happened. Anyway,
No,
Dominic.
My birthday. I got it for my birthday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Dominic ripped it on the first ride, and he was like forever saying, "Oh, Schwalbe suck. That is probably one of the one reasons that we set this thing up for Dominic to actually understand. Anyway, let's go on. Let's tell me.
Yeah. So Brett and Julian ride hard. So obviously these Schwalbe, I'm sure I would agree, these aren't their performance tires, but honestly, as a trail tire, just if you're just into riding trails, and they are fantastic. Like, I'm sure maybe most of your viewers would be just riding trails and doing some basic downhilling.
Yep.
And they are perfect for that, I believe, honestly. It's when you start to go to the next level, and that's when you need to be looking at, say, the Big Bettys and the Magic Marys. But an all-round trail tyre, I find them excellent. So if you've got a single trail and you're just cruising through it, and it's not down, it may just a slight gradient, it might be loose, it might be muddy, dry, any conditions, doesn't matter. It will give you confidence to get through it. But I think there are two things. So what Brett and Julian were saying with the performance of the tyres, obviously they'll give up eventually. But for me, it's the sidewalls on the tyres. So I've had two of them, and I can show you the one that I tested here. You can see.
Oh yeah, that's the rip there.
I ripped. This is the one that tested this time around, and this is pretty much the same thing I did with the last one. So I don't know if so Sam and I have been going back and forth, so I'm just really unlucky with these tyres. But if you compare the sidewalls of these tyres with the Big Bettys that I'm running, and they are definitely not as, to me, they don't look as thick and strong as what we have on the Big Bettys. And as I said earlier, the Big Bettys I've had no issues with at all. No punctures, no slashing sidewalls. And I've felt rocks trying to break through the sidewalls on the Big Bettys, and I haven't been able to. So, but the Eddy Currents, for me, I don't trust them to get me home personally. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, fair enough. Let me put my two bobs in now. Something that I'm surprised that you guys didn't notice, shit testers. I found that the Eddy Currents gave shitloads of feedback.
Drop your pressures. We listen to you.
But you need to drop your pressures.
I ran heaps lower pressure, Sam.
But I found that I needed to run my Eddy Currents even lower than a Big Betty Magic Mary.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was running like 24, 22.
Yeah, and I found like I had to drop them like 2 or 3 psi front and back lower than my Magic Mary Big Betty setup, because I was just getting bounced. I was getting chatter and bouncing, and it just wasn't. It felt like my compression was wound up on my suspension or something. It just was like not good. I don't like Eddy Current tires really. I just found them I think they really have their place, what Dominic was saying, for that intermediate rider, where they last so bloody long. Like
longevity.
Yeah,
they do.
And if you're thinking about, if you're like a let's say you're going, if you're a downhill and you're a 6 or a 7, you know, you're pushing, but you're not pushing really hard. I reckon it's a really great tire because you're going to have it for like 2,000 Ks. But me personally, I didn't find the front very confidence inspiring at all. And the back, it's actually interesting that you guys say you like the back. Well, Dominic, not with the punches, but a lot of the punters, a lot of the people that I met away on the EWS, they were riding the back. They were riding maybe an Assegai on the front or a Magic Mare in the front. No one was riding the back, the front Eddy Current, but I saw a lot of back Eddy Currents. So that's a good point. I might have to try the back again. I kind of just went on to Big Betty and I've probably done, I want to say probably 3,000 Ks on Eddy Currents. But yeah, I would say, yeah, for me, my pick out of the whole bunch is Magic Mary front and back, ultra soft front and back if you've got money.
Yeah, I was going to say the Magic Marys on the rear just blow up too quick.
They do. They go super quick, but
and I reckon if you get the pressures right on the Eddy Current on the rear, it's a sweet tire.
It's a winner. I might do a bit more testing on that. Good call. All right. $1 million question for everyone. Are you going to buy them?
Well, I can answer that straight away. Yes, because I have bought them.
Yep.
After testing.
Why? What's the benefit over your other setup that you think?
Beating, definitely.
Yep.
And I've had less issues with punches on SCHWALBE.
Yep.
And one negative to SCHWALBE is they aren't stocked as heavily in Australia. That's my one negative of them.
That's a big negative worldwide. SCHWALBE seem to have grown quite quickly because they've always been around, but they've never really been like kind of a mainstream tire, I don't think. But now, you know, I would say they're probably pulling like 30 or 40% of the market share now, maybe like 20. Well, in Europe, it's probably like anywhere from 20 to 40%. Maxxis is still kingpin, but it's quite difficult. I gave some guys some tires on the weekend because they couldn't buy them. They couldn't find them. So that's a problem. Finding the tires is...
and they do cost a little bit more.
They cost more, do they?
Yep. In Australia, they do.
Yeah. What's like a comparison pricing? Are we talking like $5?
You're talking $10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And what about you, Julian? Like, what's your next purchase going to be?
Yeah, I think if it's a front tire, I'd still be tossing up between the Assegai and a Magic Mary. It'll be down on price, availability, and compound.
Yep.
So whichever one I can get the right mix and casing as well. Just because availability is so tight.
Yeah.
On the rear, don't know. Yeah, look, that's another tricky one. I did like the Eddy Current. I didn't think I would. You know, I think I had some unconscious bias or some conscious biases drawing those tires, and I was pleasantly surprised. But
it's good to hear.
My preference on the rear is probably a DHF in the downhill casing.
Yep.
In Maxxis.
Mate, that doesn't last very long. I used to have that as well.
Yeah.
That doesn't last very long at all.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I don't know.
Nothing beats the Eddy Current.
Yeah.
Longevity.
For longevity.
Those things last. I've done 2 of those, and those things last a long time.
Except if you're Dominic.
Yeah. You.
Fred Patton, not the shredding one.
Yeah, that's me following Julian, by the way, both times.
And what about you, Dom? Would you be going back to Maxxis or staying with SCHWALBE?
I think probably just do sum it up would be, if I'm looking for tyres online and filtering, I would be ticking the SCHWALBE vendor, if you like, box, the SCHWALBE box, as well as the Maxxis box. And I'd be looking at the Super Trail availability if I'm looking for a new tyre for the rear on my e-bike. For the front, I like to match brands. So yeah, I think to me it'd be, now I know which combination works. That Super Trail setup I have on the e-bike now is bulletproof. I'm 100% confident in the tyres now. So when I go shopping, I will be spotting them and looking for them, and and it will come down to, I guess, price. Let's just say a Maxxis, a DH. But I think I would prefer the SCHWALBE, because I reckon they would last longer. Hard to say, but I think because like Brett was saying earlier, you only get the ultra soft. The softer compound in the Maxxis DH.
Max grip.
So, max grip. And I'm from what I'm seeing with these tires, they all of them are just lasting a lot longer than.
So that's a very good point. I think lasting wise, tires are not cheap, man. How much do you reckon you spend on tires a year, guys?
Oh shit, that's a hard question. Well, it depends what's harder, because if you've got mixed wheel size, they spend more.
Yeah, I used to spend less when I had same wheel size.
Because you use the front, get it dead, and put it on the back.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought of that.
I've spent a lot more this year, and it's purely because I've had issues with punches. And with racing, I didn't want to get a puncher, so I bought new casings instead of repairing them.
Okay. Yep.
So I've spent a fair bit on tyres.
So
especially when they're $100 a pop.
I know, it's not cheap, man. Like, they are. So if the SCHWALBE engineers were like, all right, guys, let's make a tyre, what's missing in their lineup? What would you Frankenstein their lineup? What would you do?
Ultra soft, super gravity.
Ultra soft, super gravity. I think they just did that.
All right, Eddy Current rear 2.4.
Okay, in a 29er.
Yeah.
Yep.
2.4. I don't like the big pushy, bulby tyres, balloons.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe in the Magic Mary do like I don't know, bit of a magic fairy. So something with a few more knobs in between. So a summer version, you know?
Okay. Yeah. Because it is pretty bitey.
That's a real winter. Great winter tyre, but the Ascoguy's killing that in the summer for sure.
What do you reckon? So you and Brett, that would be your go-to, the Ascoguy on the front. What do you reckon the difference in traction on the front with an ultra soft Magic Mary is?
I think it's rolling resistance.
Rolling resistance, slower roller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And grip?
Grip's about the same. I only tried it when it was pretty wet, so I haven't really run it in the super hard dry conditions. Oh, I did, but then I exploded my rim. So the Magic Mary was stronger than a carbon rim.
There you go.
I would just ask that they consider the sidewall, putting the same sidewalls on the Eddy Currents that you have on the Magic Mary.
That's a good call. It's so weird that they changed the sidewalls.
Yeah, you can see the webbing they have on these Magic Marys, whereas you don't get that with the Eddy Currents.
In the Eddy Currents,
snake skin.
Yeah, it's just.
They call that the snake skin.
I don't know why they would do that. Okay, that's a good call. Well, I think. That's a question I was going to ask. I was a big fan of 2.6, and I've gone back to 2.4, And I know that you guys, when we were ordering the tires, a lot of you were, I can't remember, 2.6 or 2.4. I know Brett was 2.4. What do you think the differences are between 2.4, 2.6, front and back?
More precise on the 2.4.
Yeah.
Front is, Assegai is my maximum at a 2.5, but that basically looks like a 2.4 SCHWALBE.
Yeah. So
like, you put them together.
Yeah,
cornering. They roll in a lot easier. They track. You can pick a line a lot easier. It's not so bulbous.
Yeah.
Like the Eddy Current, I found it was quite a balloon.
Yeah.
When you actually look at the profile of the tire, and exactly the same when you pushed it. It just gave on you.
Yeah,
it wasn't very confidence inspiring when you start sliding.
I went back to 2.4s after, while I was doing the racing, because that's what all the racers were doing, and I had to copy all the races. And what I noticed was definitely far more precise, definitely, and also, but less comfortable. You get you're getting more feedback.
Oh, it's a harder, yeah.
Yeah, it's like just hitting it feels like your suspension is just not as plush. You're hitting off things. It's definitely faster. It's faster and more precise, but not as comfortable. I would say that, like, for people that are really wanting to go hard, 2.4 is the go. But 2.6 for comfort and people that really are just having a good time, definitely 2.6 is more comfortable ride. And I thought we'd start off with a bit of show and tell, one good thing and one not so good thing that we've been riding. And I'm going to say I've been testing the Float X, the new shock from Fox, and it sits between the DPX X2 and the X2. And I was really impressed. Like, out of the box, it's really easy to set up. It sits up in its travel, and okay, if you're like a pro rider and you're jumping a lot, yeah, get the X2 because you have the low and high speed rebound and compression. But I'm stoked to see this coming on loads of e-bikes in 22, because I know, Brett, you had the DPX X2 on your Levo. Is that right?
Yeah, it is rubbish.
That's a crap shock. I know, that's a terrible shock. And when Fox said they were going to send it out to me, I was like, oh, I'm not really that impressed with the idea, but it was good. And the thing I'm not that impressed with is Troy Lee. I bought these gloves a couple of months ago because they're Sam's Bikes red, and they don't work with your phone. I don't know, like, if you're making a glove now in 2022, it's got to be, you got to be able to use your phone with it. And I basically, like, when I stop and have to answer the phone, I've got to take my gloves off. I don't know about you guys, but with all the other gloves I've been riding with lately, Fox, we've got Specialized. I think it's just Fox and Specialized, but you don't have to do that. So
you try licking your finger?
Yeah, you got to get sweaty, Sam.
No, I don't get sweaty. I'm an e-bike rider. Come on. Okay, and on to you, Julian. A good and bad thing. Bit of show and tell.
Oh, just on your DPX, actually, I got a loaner from Will Rides here in Adelaide when I blew out my X2, and I reckon that shock there with the piggyback I was really impressed as well.
So, you got the X shock as well?
It was a DPX2 with the piggyback. But Brett, you had the one without the piggyback, right?
It's an XC shock. The one that they put on the Levies. They're rubbish.
So the loaner I had was the DPX2 with the piggyback on it, and mate, it was okay. It was good. But yeah, big ups to Will Rides for flicking a shock for about 4 months while I was waiting for parts to come in with COVID. So, but in terms of,
we'll give him a shout out. Will Rides, anyone in Adelaide looking at e-bikes, he is the man.
Mr. Will Rishbeth.
Great rider, and also just an all-round legend. Like, I think he fixed your bike, Brett, and you didn't even buy it there.
No, yeah, 100%. I didn't buy the bike there. Just showed them my receipt, and they take care of all my warranty dramas now.
Nice. And
same deal.
That's good. And what have you been breaking, Julian? I know you've got something there.
Oh no, this is what I don't like and what I do like.
Okay.
The braking stuff. No, there's been a few carbon things that have been failing. Yeah, so DT Swiss carbon wheels.
Yeah.
I've had two blowout on, I don't know, no events really. The last one was a front wheel just on a clayey corner, just exploded. So not really impressed with the DT Swiss products at the moment. And I've had a broken Merida frame as well. So it might be pointing to the rider at this point, but who knows? Yeah. They claim to make him strong. So yeah. But anyway, the wheels exploded for sure. Brett saw both of them explode. He was behind me on both times. So, and it wasn't like I was hitting, big square edges or anything like that. They just gave up on life. So, but I've been on a bit of a helmet journey. After I had a crash a little while ago and hurt my shoulder and damaged my helmet. And due to COVID, I couldn't get the helmet that I liked. So I tried the Bell Super DH, still in the box because I have to return it.
Super
when
DH,
I got it,
that's the one that Brett and I had. You still got yours, Brett?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. What happened, Julian? What, you don't like it?
Nah, no way. No, I didn't like it in the half shell format.
Super ugly and super
super ugly.
Like it feels
really
like
wide.
a box, like a mushroom.
Yeah. So I was like, if I want to have a DH helmet, I'll have a full face helmet, and I'll just get a full face helmet. I don't want something that can pull it off. Anyway, I went to this guy. This is the Fox.
Oh yeah.
Drop frame.
Yeah.
Good helmet. I'd say this one fits in about halfway. Nice and comfortable, in the heat. So it breathes really well. But when I wear the backpack hits it, and because it doesn't have any securing system at the back, it then moves around, hits my glasses, and everything gets very distracting. So I've gone back to the old trusty gyro Switchblade. It's hot. I don't care. It's solid. I love it. This is my third one now.
I'm going to say, I know Specialized, give me some stuff, but that new helmet, the new Specialized helmet, 640 grams, freaking amazing, man. Like really, check it out, try it on. Super expensive, I know, but I've been riding it now for a month, I reckon. And it's like, you don't really, unless you're going downhill racing, I don't think I'd race it downhilling, but I think for everything else is perfect.
Yeah, I've had some massive diggers on those Switchblades, and
they're good helmets.
That damaged them pretty hard, and hence I keep going back.
I think there's one just there. We've got one just there.
Oh, there, yeah. Yep.
I've got a few helmets. All right, nice work, mate. And Brett, on to you, buddy. What have you been liking and what have you been breaking?
Probably the best thing I've been breaking, I've got to say, pro frames have got to be the biggest negative going into the helmet scene. Fox pro frames smash, doesn't matter what sort of impact, and they do not offer a huge amount of protection. I'd be very cautious of those.
Yep.
And the same with Julian. I blew up a Santa Cruz carbon rim.
Oh, the one with the lifetime warranty.
Yes, although I had a very different experience to Julian. Once again, Santa Cruz just basically air freighted me one the next day. So,
well, that's what you get, man. And, good companies like that. And I think the warranty is such a big part of bike riding these days.
And it's not just the hoop; it's like hub, hoop, for everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
Funny
really?
thing is that
Yeah.
they charge. Yeah.
They gave you you the whole wheel, not just the rim.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
wow.
no, hub, spokes, hoop, everything.
Nice.
Mm.
So
and DT Swiss will charge you the same as well. It's unreal.
Yeah, and would you, now that you've broken a carbon wheel, are you thinking of just moving back to aluminium, or are you going to stay on carbon?
Oh, it's a hard thing. Exactly what people say. When carbon breaks, it goes off like a gunshot. But for keeping it true and running for a while, they're good wheels. But they're Santa Cruz wheels, and they've replaced them within the same week that I had them. So,
yeah, no, fair enough. And what are you loving?
Loving, it's a funny thing to actually do, but it's called a Qi, I think it is, magnetic drink bottle.
Oh yeah,
it's literally like a neo magnet that clips onto your frame, and basically when you take the bottle off, you can't even tell that a bottle cage is on your frame.
Nice.
But once again, they aren't cheap. It's like a $50 bottle cage and bottle. But
yeah, you get what you pay for, I reckon, these days.
These do not fall off. Like, it doesn't even matter if you crash. They stick on like shit to a blanket. You can edit that.
No, we're all adults here. And what about you, Dom? What have you been loving? What have you been breaking?
On the helmet, since you were talking about those earlier, I did some damage not long ago and nearly killed myself.
Oh, Jesus,
this is
a
fairly
crash.
basic gyro tremor helmet.
Yep.
And it's split. No MIPS. So I've just ordered another gyro because the other one saved me. So I've just ordered a Chronicle, which is a MIPS.
Yep.
Style. So a bit like the Switchblade, but obviously without the shin guard. So yeah, looking forward to trying that. I haven't ridden it yet because I'm still recovering. Really liking the Fast House gloves. So in the last video, Brett recommended those. So I did switch to Fast House gloves. And
do they work with your mobile phone?
Yeah.
I got a little bit sweaty fingered though.
Okay.
Speed Style Ridgeline.
Okay. No, but I've been like Fox Dirt Paw forever, and Fox Dirt Paw work with your phone, like without, like as soon as you leave the house, they'll work. You don't need to sweat at all. So, that's good, man. Good. So maybe we should be testing gloves next.
Yeah. And so knee pads. I also went and got some different knee pads. I got these Dakin Anthem knee pads, and what is cool about them is you can strap them on and off. So when you finish riding, you don't need to take your shoes off to pull them off.
Oh, sweet.
However, I've already had warranty on these because the stitching's all coming out. But what's really, really bad is for enduro riders is the in here, the stitching on the knee is very hard, and it rubs on your knee and you start get chafing or whatever on your knee. So it's okay if you're just downhilling or whatever, but if you're doing a lot of pedaling, a bit of a design problem with these. But otherwise, safety-wise, I've had a few falls and they're really good. They're they have
nice.
that stuff in them. So
let me grab mine.
How's your knee thrush going, Dom?
So slowly. I just started walking, so just learning to walk at the moment.
I think you should. Has he told you the full story?
No.
Dom's been a bit tight-lipped on that.
What happened, Dom? Big crash.
Big crash. Yeah. I mean, that happened, and I don't actually really know what happened. So, I can't. I came off. I know where it happened, but don't know exactly what happened in terms of how I came off, because I actually don't have any memory of it.
Oh shit!
Might have knocked himself out a bit.
That's why you should always ride with someone.
Yeah.
Oh, you're by yourself. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And you should
So
also
be quite on the.
I was on a trail I know. I was on a trail I know, and when I ride trails I know, I don't go the full face helmet.
You should. Definitely should.
So I wasn't wearing appropriate head protection, so it could be for what I was doing. So yeah. Anyway.
Honestly, guys, go and check out that Specialized helmet. I know it's expensive; it's like $600, but it's a do-it-all helmet. And now I'm just wearing it all the time. I probably, as I said, I probably wouldn't wear it downhilling at a mountain bike park. I'd probably wear a big helmet, but for everything else, it's sick. It's like really, you feel as protected as a Switchblade, but it's 300 grams lighter. So it's
where do you get them, Sam?
Wheel rides.
I think Specialized dealer would get it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, Specialized dealer would get it, definitely.
Yeah.
I got mine from the Specialized guys here.
Downhill helmet all the way.
Yeah. It's got MIPS.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, I mean for downhilling, you can't beat a proper downhill helmet.
Proper man, proper. They yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about carbon rims. Are we a fan?
Yeah, nah, no way. Fuck that. Carbon rims, I don't know. Keep the carbon for the Formula Ones, I reckon.
Oh, dude.
When they let go, man, they let go.
You don't want to be there. No, I saw one.
No, if they let go in the wrong spot, they can cause some serious injury. Like, I understand people talk about carbon when it let go. It will fold.
Yeah, I was like when my front let go, I was lining up to do a pretty big step down, and I'm just glad it failed in a nothing corner, you know. But holy shit, if that had failed, where I was following you, or you were following me, Brett, if that had failed on Paddy
10 meters, 10 meter step down, yeah.
Yeah, we would have both had a good time. To the hospital.
Well, what's the benefit, man? What's the benefit of carbon wheels?
Mate,
they're a lot easier to true, I think.
Yeah.
Keep true,
they
stay true.
People that say they feel better, I reckon it's the feeling that you get of jumping on a carbon rim disappears within the first 30 minutes, if not sooner.
I don't. Yeah, there was a journalist that I know quite well, like quite respected journalist in Spain, and I was having a chat with him about it, and he swears he can tell the difference between carbon and aluminium wheels when he's riding. And I'm like, I'm going to be 100% honest. You know, I could bullshit and say I can, and oh yeah, it's true. But I put the Specialized carbon wheels back on my bike for a couple of months just to do some testing to see if I could feel the difference. And I put Cush Core front and back, but I don't feel any difference. I think if you're feeling those differences, you're probably not pushing the bike hard enough, because if you've got time to think about what's going on, oh, the rim feels a bit better, you're probably not concentrating that much on what you're doing. I don't know.
Conversely, Sam, you know, when I blew out my DT Swiss carbon rim, I went and chucked on a cheap XT wheel, aluminium.
Yeah.
And mate, I do not go, oh, I'm missing my carbon front wheel, you know. I'm actually saying this cheap, like, Shimano wheel is actually fucking fantastic. It's stiff, and it's not going to collapse on me, you know. Happy days.
I
And
saw
cost $250.
I know. I saw a little kid, like a little boy, that was racing EWS juniors. He was about 60 kilos, and we were riding in finale, and we were riding a pretty flow track. Like he blew up. He was co-sponsored by Santa Cruz, and he had Santa Cruz reserves, and he blew the back. And not only was it dangerous because I was right behind him, we both almost crashed. He blew it out, and he ruined his day. You know, he ruined my day. I paid for the full day of uplifts, and we had to call short. We had to go and drop him home, and it's just like, I don't know, like how a 60-kilo kid that will blow out wheels. I don't know, like, and we weren't even riding very hard. I think carbon. No, I'm not a fan of carbon whatsoever. I haven't done these yet. Maybe they'll go, but if I was racing, there's no way I'd be riding carbons. That's why if you look at all the EWS guys, and unless they're fully like getting paid a lot of money to ride carbon wheels, Lorik Bruni's got DT Swiss 560s. That's his go-to. That's a brilliant wheel, and it costs. I just bought one. Look at this. Actually, it's a 511.
Yeah, good rim.
60 euros.
Oh,
60 euros.
That's really cheap, actually.
60 euros. And I saw it on sale, and I was like, yeah, I'll take that. And that is going on my secret build. I'm building an affordable e-bike.
Ah.
Pro spec. It's going to be a pro spec bike, and it should come in around 10,000 Aussie.
The Fang motor?
No. Can't sell any more than that because it's going to give it away. But it's going to be, it will have Shiguras on it. It will have DT Swiss rims, and it will have SCHWALBE tyres. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. Okay, rats. Well, thank you so much for your time. What are we going to test next?
Wheels.
Wheels. Carbon wheels.
Fuck me. Yeah, all right. If they want to chuck some carbon wheels, we'll break them.
I like where we're going with that helmet. I think helmets are a pretty, Dom's, they're not cheap, man. Helmets are not cheap. Dom's just done his. I did two last year. Brett, you probably did one last year. Jillian did one. Like, if you crash, and not everyone knows this, but they should. If you crash a big one, you should retire that helmet. Like, it loses its, like that crash, Brett, that I had when I went into the gully. I retired that helmet because I put a big dent in it, and it was kind of like whatever. So,
but it's got visible damage.
Yeah, it had visible damage, but I say I don't know. We'll try and maybe I'll try and get Specialized to send out that helmet.
Be happy to test.
Yeah, no, it's a really good helmet. I would say the best enduro helmets at the moment are probably the Troy Lee Stage and the new Specialized for light. I kind of think that if you get a helmet light enough, you don't need the detachable chin, and there's so much engineering going into that to make it detachable. It makes it heavier. That's what I think.
That's why I bought a Pro Frame, but then they just aren't very strong. They got the airflow, they've got everything going with them, but you hit them and they just crack.
Yeah. If you see the Specialized helmet at Wheel Rides, just pick it up because the lateral stiffness is impressive. It's got a carbon fiber shell, and then it's MIPS inside. And I kind of thought, you know, when you get the bell and it creaks, you can push it and it creaks like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it doesn't. The Specialized doesn't do that at all, and the gyro creaks as well. The Specialized is like a solid, like fucking solid thing. We got two.
Thing I like about the gyro though is just when it's in its half frame or half shell configuration, it's just the protection you get around your ears. And same with this guy as well. You know, like I just like that ear and temple protection.
Yeah.
You know, the benefit of the gyro is that I can wear it with a backpack, and it does have the full face attachment. So
yeah, no, the gyro is still a good helmet. I just find it, especially in summer in Australia or summer in Spain, I just find it too heavy and too hot for summer. For winter riding, it's good. Got to try the Specialized.
If you're sweating, you're sweating and squeezing.
Yeah, true. Well, guys, we are about to run out because I'm a tight ass and I should have paid for the Zoom meetings, but you know, whatever. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll try and sort out some helmets. And the next one, I don't know, but we'll work it out. And riders, if you have any questions for anyone, put it in the show notes and we will get back to you. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next time. And thanks, SCHWALBE. Thanks, riders. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.